CarMax just shocked the entire car industry, and the ripple effect is already spreading across dealerships, automakers, and buyers nationwide. What they just revealed wasn't supposed to be public, it wasn't supposed to leak, and it certainly wasn't supposed to hit consumers this hard. But now that it's out, every dealer in America is scrambling to react. The entire market has been sitting on an invisible pressure cooker. Prices have been inflated for years. Inventory has been stuck. Demand has been unpredictable. But CarMax just pulled the curtain back and exposed what's really going on. And the truth is shaking the entire automotive world. CarMax wasn't planning a small adjustment or a mild correction. They unleashed a move so aggressive that analysts are calling it the opening shot in a full-scale price war. This isn't a quiet shift behind the scenes. This is a public, unavoidable shockwave. And whether you're a buyer, seller, dealer, or investor, what's happening right now affects you directly. For months, insiders whispered about CarMax's falling margins and shrinking buyer traffic. But instead of slowing down, CarMax decided to push the nuclear button. Massive price reductions across some of the most popular used cars on their lots. We're talking drops so steep that some models haven't been this cheap since before the 2020 inflation spike. That's why consumers are rushing, dealers are panicking, and automakers are watching the data like hawks. But here's the twist. These price drops aren't random. CarMax is responding to one thing they didn't expect: a sudden collapse in demand for high-priced used vehicles. Shoppers have had enough. High interest rates crushed affordability, and overpriced cars sat on lots for months. CarMax saw the warning signs before anyone else, and now they're moving faster than any competitor. They didn't just lower prices, they changed the way they evaluate trades. CarMax's new appraisal data reportedly shows trade-in offers dropping by thousands of dollars almost overnight. This one move alone has frozen the entire used car ecosystem. Private sellers are confused, dealers are furious, and customers who bought at peak prices are watching values collapse right under them. CarMax is essentially saying loud and clear, the old used car market is over, and that message is forcing everyone, from big brand dealerships to small town lots, to rethink their entire business model. Because if CarMax is signaling a correction this big, the rest of the industry can't ignore it. But that's not even the wildest part. Behind the scenes, CarMax executives reportedly uncovered inventory data that shows a massive buildup of vehicles that simply aren't moving. Cars that flew off the lot in 2021 are now sitting untouched for 60, 90, even 120 days. And when inventory piles up, prices must come down fast. CarMax decided they aren't waiting for the market to fix itself. They're forcing the market to move right now. And as soon as their new prices went live, buyer behavior changed instantly. Searches spiked, test drives jumped, and foot traffic shot up in multiple regions. It's the clearest sign yet that customers were only waiting for one thing: the first big player to break the price barrier. Now that CarMax has done it, every other dealer knows they're next. CarMax isn't just reacting to the market, they're reshaping it. By lowering prices so aggressively, they're putting extreme pressure on traditional dealerships who've been holding out, refusing to cut their inflated prices. Those dealers are suddenly stuck with cars they overpaid for, cars they can't sell, cars losing value by the week, and CarMax knows it. This move is intentional, strategic, calculated. It's designed to force a reset in used car pricing, whether other dealers like it or not. In fact, some dealers are already slashing their own prices to avoid getting crushed by CarMax's momentum. Because once a national giant drops prices, everyone else must follow, or risk being left behind with bloated inventory nobody wants. But here's where things get even more shocking. CarMax's shocking move has triggered what analysts are now calling a market-wide reckoning. Because once those lowered prices hit the market, lenders began reevaluating the true value of used cars. Banks and finance companies are quietly updating their loan-to-value ratios, meaning buyers are suddenly getting approved for less money, and dealers can't inflate prices the way they used to. CarMax basically forced the financial side of the industry to admit what they've been avoiding: the bubble has popped. And automakers, they're even more panicked, because CarMax's data doesn't just reflect used car demand, it predicts what will happen to new car sales. When used car prices drop fast, new cars must follow, especially models that were already overpriced or had years of markups built in. Companies like Ford, GM, Honda, and even Toyota are now scrambling to analyze how this market collapse might trigger new incentives, rebates, or production cuts. They know that if CarMax is slashing prices today, new car discounts are coming tomorrow. But CarMax didn't stop at price cuts. They also introduced a new data-driven purchasing system that automatically adjusts vehicle prices based on real-time demand.
Carmax. They just fired their CEO because the car market is not doing well. Carmax was not doing well. They weren't lowering their prices like they should have been. They would turn over more volume if they do that. They didn't do it. Now, financial situation doesn't look as good as what shareholders would want, what the board would want. So, CEOs to blame, CEOs out. And the same thing is happening all across the car market. The only reason we're able to see it from the perspective of Carmax is because they have to actually report their earnings. They have to report their numbers. But all of these dealerships, these franchise dealerships, are going through the same kind of situation that Carmax has just reported. Sales very weak, but they're not lowering prices. And at the end of the day, you're going to see a lot of problems happen like we just saw at Carmax. Carmax stock price down over 50% year to date. That's what's happening to a lot of these car dealerships right now because they're not lowering their prices like they should to catch up with the market. All right, so we definitely need to check this thing out. This is a 2007 Toyota Tacoma. It's got 173,000 miles. And it's on the outside, it looks pretty rough, but we're going to go through this truck. We're going to look at a lot of the flaws that's going to have and keep all of these flaws in mind, even when the price that you're seeing that it brings inside the auction, because these things get absolutely insane. Even in a rough condition, see it's starting to get a little crusty.
Something's seriously wrong at Carmax. Shares of Carmax plunged nearly 10% after the used car giant dropped a weak outlook and announced that their CEO Bill Nash is stepping down. In his place, retail clothing veteran David McCreight, formerly of Urban Outfitters and Lulu's Fashion Lounge, is stepping in as interim CEO. Not exactly a car guy. Carmax expects comparable store used unit sales to fall between 8 and 12% this quarter, and earnings per share down to as little as 18 cents, including nearly 9 cents of one-time costs tied to layoffs and leadership changes. And get this, their chairman Tom Folliard, who ran Carmax a decade ago, is coming back as interim executive chair. And Folliard didn't sugarcoat it. He said our recent results don't reflect Carmax's potential and change is needed. And analysts agree. William Blair downgraded Carmax's stock, saying the move signals deeper troubles ahead. It's been a brutal year for Carmax, with shares down almost 50%, while competitors like Carvana are crushing it. Let us know your take in the comments, and be sure to follow for more automotive content.
Corporations are announcing mass layoffs in droves. Amazon has announced that it will be
You should also know that Carmax just did the same thing and let go thousands of employees. But here's the best part. They gave them 10 days severance pay at their regular pay. So they don't have to work, but they'll still receive a paycheck for 10 days during a government shutdown where food stamps and unemployment and everything else is unavailable. Carmax, who just built a baseball stadium in Virginia, who just spent billions on bullshit, let go of thousands of employees with a 10-day severance paycheck. I wonder what Amazon and all those people are going to offer, and I wonder exactly where this is going to lead. Welcome to the revolution, baby. Shit's about to get real.
One laid-off Richmond employee spoke with us on the condition of anonymity. He says the culture at Carmax had switched over the past couple months with more of an emphasis on cutting costs.
I'm kind of just in a state of shock. This is a company I wanted to retire with.
The layoffs came about a month after Carmax reported a drop in sales. CEO Bill Nash calling it a, quote, challenging quarter. The used car seller not alone having big layoffs. Amazon, UPS, and Paramount Skydance all announced layoffs this week.
Yeah, it's a part in it, but I don't think the primary reason. I think it's a combination of excessive hiring for about...
Let me pause right there, because for years you've been told just to wait for the used car market to crash. Well, that moment is actually here. But the biggest signal isn't just a price drop or a market report. It was the quiet exit of a single CEO. But let's be honest, it was really challenging trying to buy used cars over the last couple of years. And it was a bizarre time when a 3-year-old Toyota Tacoma was selling for more than its original sticker price. And we all saw Honda Civics with 50,000 miles being listed for what they cost brand new. The market was completely unhinged from reality. This wasn't just a small price bump. It was a total breakdown of affordability.